Welcome to ISRA League's Grand Touring Championship, brought to you by the Z1 SimWheel LCD display. The Z1 SimWheel LCD display box and software are available at z1simwheel.com. You can integrate these excellent dashboards into your sim rig, get your timing, and improve your racing. Check it out at z1simwheel.com. This is Season 8, Race 8 at Homestead Road Course. I'm Daniel Quaroni, and with me are Brian Carey.
Hello, everyone.
And Anthony Muniz.
Hey, good to be back.
Alright, well, the GTC hasn't to Homestead for several seasons, so it's good to be back here. It's a track I'm a fan of, even though it's tough. And we'll take a look at the points here. Mike Kelly leading Daytona Prototypes by just 1 point over Russell Cow. So that one's turning out to be quite exciting. Timothy Stoll is pretty safely in third. And then we've got fourth through eighth. Pretty close contention. Then James Cullen leading in Cadillacs, but Colin McLean and Todd Carver both presenting some challenge, and they are all vying for the top three spots. Then a big gap to fourth at Water Prado, but Warren Baden and Mark Payne are both giving him a run for his money. So, welcome back to Homestead. The road track here is pretty difficult, and Brian and Carey will give us the rundown on the corners in just a moment. And, let me turn the mic over to him and take away Brian.
All right, well, here we go. This is, as you can see here, there's really not a lot to it. It's a classic roval. You've got turns 3 and 4 of the oval, or 9 and 10 on this course here. Turn 1, the entrance off the oval into the infield is a lot easier to the transition, a lot easier than Daytona. Still have to be careful, but it's not nearly as perilous as before. Really, the most important corner on this track is turn 8. Getting a good run on turn 8, you'll lose a little bit of time going through the corner, but you'll save yourself a lot of time going through, turn 9 and turn 9 there. It looks like we've doubled up in the corner numbers there, but turn 8 is the key corner there to get a best run. That's your only overtaking going into turn 1 and 2. The rest of the track, with mistakes and whatnot, you can make up some time, but really flat and simple is how we're going to look at this one here.
Alright, let's check out qualifying. Russell Cow on pole, 109.41, with Mike Kelly at 109.49 in second. Timothy Stoll and Brian Carey taking up the second row. John Rosettos and John Middleton in third. Daniel Quaroni and Chuck Chambliss on fourth. And Brent Briles and Jerry Morrisdorf on the fifth.
James Cullen takes the pole in the Cadillac GT class with Todd Carver just a couple tenths off. Lauren Bateman and John Kuslin will be the second row with Eduardo Benica and Daniel Gralti on the third. Mike Young and Ryan Huff will be on the fourth row with Kenny Coughlin and John Kelly running out the fifth row and the top 10.
Yeah, I'd just like to point out there, John Rosettos. I keep calling him Rizzutos for some reason, and I don't know why I keep doing it. It's just one of those things, like, don't call him Rizzutos, don't call him Rizzutos. It's John Rosettos. So I'll try to make sure I get that right now from now on, John. But actually, his time there in qualifying, fantastic. He was, really pushing it up there. Not that he's, not slow by any means, but that qualifying time was fantastic for him this race, and he's right up there mixing it up front, barely 7 tenths away from the pole position man there.
And just a bit of a announcement for the viewers out there. As you can probably tell, we look at Lance Snyder. He doesn't currently have his awesome-looking Iron Maiden livery. That's because of a bug with the iRacing software and older replays. We aren't going to be seeing all of the great custom liveries that we see. Some of the guys will look the same as they just run the default iRacing schemes, but you see Brian Carey's car looks quite different than it does normally. Russell Cowell, his car looks the same, but a lot of other cars will look different in this race until iRacing gets that bug fixed.
So pay attention to the numbers in the cars there. Russell Cow, as the pace car is about to pull in. Russell Cow in the red, white, and blue car on the inside. That's on the outside there. That's Mike Kelly in the number 2. On the inside is Timothy Stoll. It's going to take a little while to go, but green flag as Russell Cow leads the field away, and we are racing.
Watching the 79 of Brian Carey as they head down into turns 1, 2, and 3. and he will slot into 4th place. Mike Kelly in 3rd with Timothy Stoll in 2nd, and Russell Cow will maintain the 1st spot. Like Cadillacs, a little bit more bunched up and side by side as they go into the opening couple corners, watching Kenny Coughlin now battling with Cuffin Cockrell in the number 43 Texas car there. This is a battle for 9th place in class as the Cadillacs sort themselves out. Go on board with Jeremy Burris, who's currently running in 11th, right behind Tim McLeish, who is the last of the top 10.
There we go. Coming into turn 8 here. This is a corner there. So Jeremy Burris is on the inside. He's made the pass going into turn 8, but if Timothy McLeish is, or Tim McLeish there has got a good run, he has a chance to pull back on him, but doesn't look like he's close enough there.
Take a look at Brian Carey running in. Well, you're currently being not shown. Oh, there he is. 4th place, still in 4th place as they head through the NASCAR corners into turn 1, 2, and 3 here. Currently still running in 4th place, and that looks like Timothy Stoll rather goes off in turn 3, and that allows Brian Carey to pick up a spot. That moves him up into the top 3. We're looking at Daniel Gralti. Oh, that's Daniel Gralti. No, that's Brian Huff actually going very wide through turns 1 and I believe that was 2. He actually is going through right now. He'll lose a lot of time.
I was fast.
Now, if that happened in the Daytona road course, you would be out because you'd be buried in the tire wall there. Luckily, there's a bit more runoff here at Homestead, and you can get away with something like that. But he loses a lot of time. He'll fall down to 11th place, but luckily he is able to continue. And here's a good battle now with Brian Carey and Timothy Stoll. Stoll trying to make up time from the small off that he had. You can see him battling with Brian Carey now as they head through NASCAR turn 4 onto the front straight. Brian Carey going to be able to maintain 3rd position, although Stoll going to try a diving move on the inside. Brian Carey decides to run his normal line through and not going to allow Timothy Stoll to get by. Brian Carey actually being shown in 2nd place now, and looks like Mike Kelly, he's going to drop to 4th, so that means Mike Kelly had some sort of drama going through turns 2, 3, and 4, I would assume, and that allows Brian Carey to get up into 2nd place. He's now 2.5 seconds off of the leader, Russell Cow, who has pretty much had no issues so far at the start of this race.
It's kind of good to see where these guys hail from here. Obviously, Eduardo Benica is from Brazil, and there's Todd Carver up ahead from, I don't know, somewhere in the middle of the country, I guess. Plains, I suppose. Actually, I think he's from Omaha, is he not? I'm literally just guessing.
I do not know. But more close racing with Brian Carey and Timothy Stoll. You can see that Mike Kelly not too far behind as well. Looks like Timothy Stoll going to try and get on the inside. He's going to be on the inside going into turn 1. Looks like he'll gain the position from Brian Carey. He'll fall back into 3rd place and try and hold off Mike Kelly, who is pretty close. Mike Kelly going to try and get a move on the outside. Obviously, it's not going to happen there, but he did have the run. Brian Carey on the inside there as they head through turn 5 onto one of the straights in the infield section of the course. We'll jump back a little bit to Jeremy Burris, who is running in 9th place right now, battling with Jerry Morsdorf. Morsdorf pretty late on the braking there, almost got into the side of, who was that, Chuck Chambliss there in the number 15 car, running in 7th place.
Yeah, it's going to take a little while to get used to here because you get so used to everyone's paint schemes that always got cleaned out. That's unfortunate.
Yep, and luckily it wasn't a huge issue there. You can see that was Jerry Morsdorf there doing the gentleman driver thing. Excuse me, doing the gentleman driver thing and pulling off to allow Chuck Chambliss to get by after that incident. And I'm not sure if he locked up or if he just tried to take his braking too late and went into the back of his car, but unfortunate, but those mistakes happen every once in a while, as the battling between Brian Carey and Mike Kelly is very close right now, heading through the initial 5 corners.
Like I say, yeah, this track is pretty basic here, so you just got to really try to make sure you get the car rotated around, put it in the right direction, quick on the gas, late on the brakes, that sort of thing. But after VIR and Watkins Glen, there is not a lot of character here at this track. Although, if you guys want to see something interesting, you should Google Homestead, Jan Magnussen, Max Pappas to see how you really shouldn't be racing each other. It's a very interesting piece of footage. As it looks like that's Kenny Colligan off the track, luckily with the same paint scheme that we're usually accustomed to. And Clifton Cockrell taking the place up to 7th.
I believe this is the first time that we've seen Clifton in the GTC, so he's having a strong showing so far in the GT Cadillac class as we watch the battle between McLeish and the 01 of John Rossettos. And John able to get by very easily as they head through NASCAR Turn 4 and across the timing line. Oh, and Jerry Morsdorf going off the circuit on, I believe that's Turn 3? Yeah, Turn 3. No, Turn 2, rather. My mistake. And he'll lose some time in a couple positions there to other cars in his class, unfortunately. He will fall down into 11th place, with Jeremy Burris just behind him. Oh, and Lauren Bateman getting caught out by the initial corner there, Turn 2.
Like I say, it's easier than Daytona, but doesn't mean it's easy.
Yeah. That will drop him down into 3rd place with Eduardo Benaca taking 2nd place. There you can see him just in front, and right now there's about close to 4-second gap between 2nd place and class leader James Cullen. So the racing at the moment not nearly as close as some of the other races that we've seen so far this season in the Cadillacs.
Yeah, there with Lauren Bateman as you got one of the looks like John Middleton going underneath Tim McLeish there, but unfortunately with the paint schemes not showing up there, Lauren Bateman's base paint scheme, I don't know how else to put this, but it looks like a boring pair of pants.
And we'll look at Daniel Giralty's car, who looks totally different than his normal Irish liveried car as he battles with Ryan Huff, and this is a battle for 9th place in the class.
At least Ryan's car looks somewhat similar to his painted car there, so... Is it really cool watching these guys go through the oval here, because then you really get to see it is flat out, but there's still enough, the car's still wiggling around a little bit there, so you can really you can scrub up speed if you don't do it right, so you have to be nice and smooth and try to maximize your speed, let the wheel unwind, and just carry as much speed as you can into turn 1. So really good to watch. I think you get the really tight infield section here, which it goes left, it goes right, it goes right again. It's really
the oval section of the circuit has a lot less banking than we see at the Daytona road course, so it's not quite as easy to go through that portion of the circuit as it is at Daytona, where Daytona is pretty much, just a snooze fest until you get to back to turn 1, basically, or the bus stop that they have there on the back straight. But here it is a little bit more work. It's gonna have to kind of watch. It's a bit more like you're actually trying to find the correct line, balance your throttle and how much steering input you have to make sure that you can get through the corner as fast as possible. So it's not quite as easy as Daytona.
Yeah, well, I mean, Daytona has its own challenges or whatever, and Daytona actually has more of a history with the racing too. But what I find here is, like, if you're racing someone, it's fantastic to race someone here at Homestead. You don't think about the track, you're racing the other cars. When you start lapping by yourself, you kind of want to kill yourself. It's really not a very satisfying track to drive around by yourself. Again, metaphorically, you don't actually want to do that.
We look at Timothy Stoll right now, who has worked his way back up into 2nd place. He's currently 4.5 seconds off of overall race leader Russell Cow, and he is right with Mike Kelly right now.
Just to point out that at some point in there's a boring pair of pants right there. If you disagree with me, fine, but Anyways, I was just saying I'd rearranged some of my body work on the inside of one of the walls there coming up. I think it was corner number 3, so hence my drop back from contention.
I see, yep. Currently down into 4th place. 3.5 seconds off of Mike Kelly running in 3rd. But we actually could see a battle between coming up with you right pretty soon. We've got Daniel Coroni looking to catch up. About a second off, and we see right now the number 1 of Lauren Bateman gets back around Eduardo Benica going on the outside through turn 1. So a good move there.
Well, there's
Beninca, I believe.
Benica. Say it with an accent then.
Or like most Brazilian athletes, we'll just go by their first name, so we just go with Eduardo.
Well, we can't do that. We've got 2 Eduardos.
Well, luckily not in this race, so...
Oh, there you go. Perfect.
Also, we can pretty much do whatever we want here. There's not a lot of rules in the ISRA GTC commentary booth, but try to keep it as informative as possible. Just noticing the quality of the palm trees there on the outside of the track. It's actually a nice bit of stuff that I don't typically see on mine. That's one of the things we were watching this race here. Whoa, that was kind of interesting. It looked like the front of the car lifted up a little bit there, but when you are... this is a pretty high graphical quality that Dan's able to put together here for these broadcasts. Myself running a very, very old computer. Well, it's 5 years old, but computers, that's pretty damn old. I'm not able to do all these graphical bells and whistles on my system, so some of this I'm seeing for the first time, and it does look pretty cool. That's the 60. There's Daniel Coroni right there. I was trying to figure out who that was.
Same basic colors there. Well, actually, no. Those are his old basic colors. New colors are the black and orange.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the iRacing, Team iRacing, or rather Team ISRA colors, but when I ran my HPD, I was running those colors.
Yeah, it's a bit of a throwback livery for you, so that's cool to see. As we go on board with Todd Carver running in 4th place, and the other 2 cars in front of him, 2nd and 3rd place. Those guys are all separated by about 2 seconds or so. So that's a battle to keep an eye on right now as we watch the outboard shot of Todd Carver battling with John Kuzlin.
It's going to be a late penalty to John Kuzlin thinking better about that there. That's one thing going into turn 1 there, because it's basically a one-line corner. And there's another car going off turn 2. As I said, it was easier than Daytona. Apparently it isn't, because there's big cars pretty much every other lap going off. But I was saying, going into turn 1 there, you really have to get the really take the line going into turn 1, because there is only one line. If you go on the outside, offline, you have to go so much slower to the corner. There's some corners in at Homestead here, the oval, and a few of them in particular, Rican. You can kind of drive offline a little bit and still get through roughly the same speed, but turn 1 is not one of them. It's one line and one line only. Daniel Corney's getting kind of boxed in there by some of these Cadillacs. Nothing like having 2 Cadillacs drive side by side in a very narrow track. He's probably thinking in his mind, fantasizing about which ones he wants to turf and spin out, but
he actually needs to go. Yeah, he actually needs to go because he's got Brent Briles. Yes, that's Brent Briles right behind him, and he gets by on the outside of those 2 Cadillacs, which is a good move there. Both of those guys are going to be battling on now. Looks like Coroni lost a bit of time to Brian Carey. He's fallen back to 7.5 seconds off. So I'm assuming a bit of an incident there. Brian Carey actually trying to claw his way back up to the back of Mike Kelly. He's about half a second off of that right now, or his car right now. So that could turn into another battle. We'll see.
Yeah, so one of those tracks too is because you go high-speed corners, you're really heating up the tires going around the oval there. So those first couple of corners, your tires feel very, very greasy, especially when you're rotating around the hairpins. Because to get these cars, the Daytona prototypes don't rotate very naturally. This is the best way to put that. So you really got to kind of throw them in there, let them stick, and go around the corner. But if they're a little greasy and they're a little heated up, Sometimes you throw it in there and the rear just keeps spinning around because the rear tires are nice and nice and warm, which means they don't offer as much grip and you end up spinning out. So you really got to be careful, not leaning too much on those rear tires as you rotate through the first part of the corner, and just trying to get the car to roll through actually each and every corner as best as possible. So I guess what I'm trying to say there is you can't really go on there aggressive, brake late, slide the car in, power off hard. You really got to let the car do the work. And how did Liverpool FC get in there? Oh, never mind. He owns Liverpool. I was wondering where that logo came in, but the John Henry, who's the benefactor of the money behind iRacing, is also the money behind the Liverpool Football Club. So a little strange for me to see that there, not being aware that was one of the sponsorship options, but there you go.
Okay. I've always wondered how that got put in here, so that's a good little tidbit to know.
Yeah, but I don't see anyone with the Boston Red Sox, who he also owns, so...
Yeah, interesting, yeah. Someone else going off the circuit right there. Looks like Clifton Cockrell going to be losing a spot, goes a little bit off the circuit there, and he'll lose a spot to Gary Miller, and that moves Miller up into 11th place in his GT class.
Unrelated sports, well, not unrelated, but Liverpool able to this morning pull off a 1-1 draw with Chelsea, which is kind of big for their pride, really. I would like to say their chance at the Premiership title in soccer, for those of you who follow, but they're pretty terrible still, so I don't think that's in the cards for at least another couple of years. Although hurting Chelsea's chances at any time is a good thing in my opinion. But back to the action on track there. We're going to be following along with Todd Carver here. He's in 6th place right now, closing in on Mike Young in 5th place. Just looking through the order here, and this is, this battle for 5th is probably the closest one on the track right now. Well, battle for 4th, I guess, technically, because that's John Kuzlin up in 4th place that they're battling along with. And it looks like Todd Carver might actually have the place. Mike Young got a little squirrely there, and...
Yep, and here's a battle between Daniel Coroni and Brent Briles still going on, although the battle has elevated up until... Oh, boy, that was
Dan,
bit of an incident right there.
Do you recall what happened there, Dan?
I think it just got really slippery there. I believe I took the line just a little bit wrong in the back end, just got a little bit slippery.
Alright, so it happened kind of fast, and some of the things you don't catch on screen here, so...
Yeah, I just caught it basically out of the corner of my eye, but it looked like there was a GT car that had spawned right in front of Dan.
Actually, I think I might have been one of the cars spinning, because I noticed I'm behind Daniel right now.
No, you had fallen back a few laps ago. I was actually just about to point that out.
Hey, there I am.
Yeah, so I think from what I could tell, it looked like there's a GT Cadillac that spun in front of Dan. He had the same on his brakes, and that allowed Brent Briles to get by. And this doesn't look like any damage or anything on Dan's car. He's about a second and a half behind, so he's able to continue on. Just lost a bit of pace and probably had a bit of a heart rate jump right there, but able to continue on. And Brian Carey, had some sort of issue as another Cadillac goes off.
Oh, turn 2, surprise.
Yeah, that seems to be catching that exit of turn 1 seems to be catching a lot of Cadillac drivers out this race.
Okay, yes, maybe now I am having a recollection of a car spinning ahead of me. Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, it's one of those things too. I remember this race because I had damaged my car so early that I'm pretty much about 7 minutes in, so the remaining hour and 3 minutes was pretty excruciating trying to drive around. There's nothing worse than driving a car that's not handling right. It's about 2 seconds off the pace, and because sometimes you get these cars, you take some practice, you get the car dialed in, and I mean, a lot of times they're a real pleasure to drive. I mean, they do what you want. I mean, you're able to go through the race, pick up time, learn new things. As soon as a car gets damaged, it's just each lap, it's like poking yourself in the eye with a dull spoon.
Watching Todd Carver battle with John Kuzlin, who has moved up into 3rd place right now. And Todd Carver also moving up the field quite a bit. He's moved up from, I don't exactly remember where he qualified at the moment, but he's moved up quite a few positions from the start as we go to watch the battle between John Kelly in the number 6 and Gary Miller in the 14. And that is the battle for... Oh, no, he goes off, so it's not really a battle anymore. It looks like there's another car just behind. I can't quite catch which number that is. Looks like possibly... I don't know. But regardless, we'll go back to Daytona Prototype Battle as Daniel Quaroni able to catch back up to Brett Briles, and this is the battle for 4th place. After the near miss on the part of Quaroni, able to catch back up, and he's dropped the gap to about half a second, so Dan seems to have the pace today.
Just out of curiosity there, right on the right side of the screen there on the inboard, what are those 3 containers filled with?
That's a very good question. I don't know. I would assume, brake fluid, power steering fluid, I don't know.
I guess when you're doing an endurance race, having those things available to see what the levels are and being able to top them up quickly are important, but I'm sure I'd want to have that that close to me in the cockpit.
Yeah, I think they might do that to be able to, I don't know, maybe that's how they top them off if they need to add. Because I know if you look at something like the LMP, or if you look at LMP1 cars, they have those under the front nose piece, so you have to take those off to actually look at those cylinders. So it's actually interesting that they have those cylinders inside the cockpit.
There's Mike Young in the number 20 there. 21, sorry, taking the high line going around the oval. That's one of the other things, too, going around the oval, is sometimes it just, the banking is a little progressive there at Homestead. The lower line isn't quite as banked as about a groove up. Like see right about there. If you go right down against the white line, it's not nearly as banked. I think you can take the corners pretty much flat out, but you'll be able to save your tires a little bit if you run a slightly higher line around here. A little slower, but slightly higher. Then Gralty, hopefully you can get through here. There he goes, not bad. Fully expecting him to have gone off there. That's why we cut over to him. I didn't see him he was battling with anyone really, so. And there's Jerry Morsdorf. We mentioned a couple of races ago about his color scheme on his gloves being bizarre, but I guess that's why. It's his default racing colors there. A little ragged through turn 8, but he's not sure if he's close enough to actually get the draft off McLeish, but definitely possible right now. They'll be close going into turn 1.
Yep, they will be. And there's they'll obviously get past that GT car right now, but I think there's another one. Yeah, there is another one that might come into play as they get farther into the infield section of the circuit. Looks like that might be Lauren Bateman and his ugly pants car, as Brian calls that default livery on his car.
Yeah. All right. I just apologize, guys. I just have to step off the booth for just a second here, and I will be right back.
And looks like Tim McLeish able to get by Jerry Morsdorf before, or Tim McLeish able to get by Lauren Bateman rather before that corner. I'm not sure if that's going to hold up Jerry Morsdorf at all, but it's going to help. Yeah, it looks like it's going to help open the gap between those cars just a little bit. And looks like Jerry Morsdorf will get him just into turn 8, yeah, on the outside of turn 8 before they head onto the back straight. But that might help McLeish out just a little bit, as you can see there's a decent gap between them right now, and that might help take away some of the draft. Ooh, and it looks Daniel Quaroni getting a little bit too close to that GT car, locked the brakes up a little bit, unfortunately got off, and half spun the car, able to avoid any damage and re-gets going, although loses a position to Brian Carey. Although, as Brian pointed out earlier, he does have some damage on his car and off pace, so we should see a probably catch back up and fairly easily pass Brian before the end of the race, or within the next couple laps rather. Morsdorf able to get very close to the back of Tim McLeish's car as they head through turns 2, 3, 4, and 5. as we watch Eduardo Benica go by Lauren Bateman, and that will move him up into fourth. Lauren Bateman had some sort of drama. He's dropped down to fifth place. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but he's lost quite a few positions. I think he was running up as high as second at one point. And John Kuzlin now running up in second place right now, and he's 13 seconds off of leader James Cullen. So James Cullen having a comfortable lead so far in this race. No one seems able to have the pace to challenge him so far. We'll see what happens as the race goes on. But quite a few Cadillacs seem to be having issues of some sort. A lot of them having dramas in the exit of turn 1 going down towards turn 2. Even some of the quick guys, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Tim McLeish currently still running in 8th place. You can see he must have had some sort of incident because Jerry Morsdorf is quite a ways up the road now. And looks like, can't tell who that GT car is, but he's going to get held up a little bit. That will help Tim McLeish close the gap just a bit as they head into the turns 4 and 5 before they get into the 2 long straights on the infield.
All right, well, I'm back. Did I miss anything interesting?
Not really. We've got Laura Bateman.
Spinning.
Oh, yeah, we did. Well, and you did get by. I'm assuming Dan will be able to pass you back, though, because of the damage that you've picked up. And also, Lauren Bateman's dropped to 5th place. Didn't see exactly what happened to him, but he had some sort of off.
Well, I gotta say here that even though we are talented and very well-paid commentators, it doesn't prevent us from still having to remember to turn the laundry over before it gets too late, because nothing like leaving a wet load of laundry in the washing machine. Random, perhaps. Not racing appropriate, perhaps. However, a necessity of the professional iRacer, if you will.
It is, and it also serves as a reminder for all of you watching out there, if you're watching this late at night, to go and check your laundry, because you might have forgot.
Like, seriously, nothing grosser than waking up like a day later and checking the laundry to put a load in, and there's like 2 days old wet clothes that have... well, there's a lot of things worse than that, but just... That's our Z1Simwheel.com tip of the day. Don't forget to check your laundry.
Ooh, Lauren Bateman. Ooh, wow. I'm surprised he managed to save that. It almost looked like he was going to get into the back of that Daytona prototype there as they head into turn 2. Luckily, he manages to get this car slowed down and takes a wide line going through the corner. That was pretty impressive. Looks like John Kelly getting a little squirrely going into turn 1. Doesn't have any sort of issues going down into turn 2, though, which is good. John Kelly currently running in 9th place. We saw Kenny Coughlin's car just in front by about a second, and there is the damaged car of Brian Carey, currently about 6 seconds off of the back of 4th place, Bryant Briles.
Yeah, like I say, it wasn't damaged enough that I couldn't drive it, but just damaged enough that it was really annoying me. Yeah, Todd Carver there, the number 40, coming up behind the 43 there of Clifton Clockrell, that's right. Keep forgetting it's our newcomer to the series there. He's having a pretty good race thus far. Looks like he's kept his car clean. Todd Carver, an old hand at the Cadillac and the ISRA in general. Looks like he's got the inside of turn 8, but Clifton has taken to the outside. Let's see if he can get that. Nope, it looks like he's a little bit too much of a fishtail there, but like I mentioned earlier in the race there, you take the wide line, it's not passing the inside. If you do it right, you should be able to get a good run off and possibly repass going into turn 1.
Here's some pretty good close racing between those two. Clifton and Cockrell able to use some of the draft going on the NASCAR portion of the circuit. Closes the gap between himself and Todd Carver just a bit as they head into turns 1 and now 2. And that could turn into a battle pretty quick. And we'll look at Lauren Bateman, who is about a half a second off of Eduardo Benica. And this is a battle for 4th place in the class.
Yeah, this is just one of those, this used to be a really fantastic IndyCar track, well, I guess champ cars, if you will, back open in 1996 as a as a quad oval, so it was kind of shaped like the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, where it had distinct turns 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1997 and on, they changed it to its current configuration, top down, but with much shallower bank, so it produced some very, very exciting IndyCar races at the time, or again, kart races, but I can't remember when they actually put the very high banking into it to make it more suitable for NASCAR, but I think it really took a lot of the character out of the track, and it just became another one of the traditional 1.5 mile or high bank tracks that they use in NASCAR. Alright, well, Lauren Bateman, he's going to try to see if he can get a run here on Eduardo Benica. Actually, I have to ask some of my Brazilian friends how you announce that, but go with Benica for now. But Lauren, hopefully, he's got about half a second there. He's got a pretty good draft. He's going to go to the high side here, see if he can come down off the banking and get a good run.
Looks like he's going to close the gap just a bit. Well, maybe not. He went back high. When he kind of did that high in and then down towards the middle, looks like he was going to close the gap. He's going to close the gap going to turn 1, but I don't really think there's going to be an opportunity for him to get by unless Eduardo decides to make a mistake and go off the track.
I found in my experience you don't really decide to make a mistake, it just happens repeatedly, so it's more accepting you'll make a mistake, I guess.
Yeah, but nonetheless, Eduardo manages to stay on the circuit. Thought he might have taken a little bit too much curve there and bounce off wide and hit the sand trap that they have there, but manages to stay on the circuit and in front of Lauren Bateman. As we're getting down pretty close to about halfway, as looks like he was at Brent Briles, I believe, making his way through these two guys. Ooh, and Lauren Bateman, I thought he might try and make a dive there on the inside. Not going to be able to happen there because I'm pretty sure Eduardo's going to have a better run coming off that corner. But looked like he might have tried to give it a chance. But back to the original point I was trying to make. We're getting down to about 38 minutes left in the race, so we're just about to the halfway point, which means we should be start to see pit stops here pretty soon.
Yeah, that turn 2 wasteland out there just really seems so inviting to these cars. The cars just really want to get out there, and the drivers have to fight with all their might just to keep them going around the track right now. Also, I'm going to try to keep my, at this point of the race here, we're trying to keep my commentary down to a short burst as my throat is starting to rebel against me, so hear me go quiet for a moment. I'm probably just having a massive coughing fit. I'll try to keep that off on open mic, though.
Oh, we see Brian Carey going by these two cars right now as they head down towards turn 8, and the gap is pretty much going to be exactly the same as the last couple laps that we've seen. Although maybe Lauren Bateman might be a little bit closer this time. Let's see if the draft helps them out a bit as they head into NASCAR turns 3 and 4. Other than the battle that we're looking at right now, we have a fairly close gap between Mike Kelly and Timothy Stoll. That's about a second and a half. As Lauren Bateman, he's going to be able to get around. Oh, maybe not. I thought he did have the run. He was going to have the run, but he didn't have anywhere to go. He was going to have the outside. We have seen one driver make a pass on the outside. It was quite brave, and I guess he decided to save that momentum for later. Looking at Daniel Gralti right now, he's making his, I'm assuming, scheduled pit stop. It looks like there's a bit of damage on the nose of his car. I'm not sure if that is affecting him at all or not.
And he really hit his marks there.
He's pitting.
He was right down the middle there. Very nice pit entry for Daniel Gralti.
We'll go on board now with Gary Miller as he is about to pass Daniel Gralti in the pit lane. Yeah, just going back to the gaps quickly, there aren't a whole lot of close racing or a lot of close battles on the circuit, rather. We've got, well, there's a couple pits right now going on for the Daytona Prototypes. Timothy Stoll is in Mike Kelly is in. So the gaps that were there that were somewhat close have been switched up a little bit. We've got Eduardo Benica and Lauren Bateman, of course. Those two drivers are fairly close, about a second and a half or so. Although Lauren Bateman now entering the pit, so that battle will cease for the moment. And then we have John Kelly and Kenny Coughlin. Those guys are about 2.5 seconds.
Oh, there's a car off the track there.
I can't tell who that is. Number 14, so that was Gary Miller, which had passed Daniel Gralti, which we're riding on board with right now. And so unfortunate for Gary Miller, he's going to lose more time against Daniel Gralti when he makes his pit stop.
And we're on board with Kenny Coughlin right now, and it's speaking to him between races here. He is looking forward to when ISRA changes up the cars to get out of that Cadillac. He is not a fan of that car. Doing a very good job in it right now in 5th place, but not a fan of the Cadillac.
On board with Ryan Huff, who exits the pit lane in 11th. And I'm assuming he will make up a couple more positions after the drivers in front of him make their scheduled pit stops. On board with Lauren Bateman, who's currently running 10th, but that's because he's made his one and only pit stop. So he'll be making up some positions, but this is also a driver he isn't really battling with. Ooh, as he gets really late on the brakes and get by, manages to keep it on the road. But that was maybe a close call that he didn't need to take there.
It looked pretty cool, though. I mean, that was a scary bit of braking, but guys, I mean, you got to weigh risk versus reward, and not sure what he weighed there, but it sure looked cool from our end. Possibly not as cool from Gary's end, but everyone got out of that one all right, so live to fight another day.
And we are on board with Mike Kelly right now. Just the Daytona prototype just in front of him is Timothy Stoll. I believe both of those guys have made their pit stop, so that is a battle for position. They're currently running in 4th and 5th. They will make up 2 positions once the drivers Brent Briles and Brian Carey make their scheduled pit stops. Russell Cowell has yet to make his pit stop. He's currently 30 seconds in front of second place driver Brent Briles.
I really get a sense of the speed when you're watching the cars from that angle, watching the fence posts go flying past them and whatnot. This is one thing about this track is it's one of the good tracks one of the tracks on iRacing that has Grand Am in real life, so you can actually sort of more accurately compare this track to this car combination to the real life counterparts.
And Lauren Bateman looking to get by Mike Young around the outsides. They head through turn 9, which is basically a kink to get back onto the oval section of the course. And right now they're still going to be side by side. Let's see if Bateman will be far enough ahead to take the preferred line into turn 1. Looks like Mike Young's just going to back off before they hit turn 1. Lauren Bateman currently running in 6th place, so I expect that he'll probably make up another position or 2 possibly, depending on whose pits. I know Daniel Gralti has already made his pit stop. He's running in 5th, just in front. I'm not sure if Todd Carver has or Kenny Coughlin. I don't think Kenny has yet, so he'll have to stop, I believe, and that should elevate those other drivers up another spot or 2.
Well, you got the Turn 1 Heroes teammates here. We don't get to see their Turn 1 Heroes liveries, but that's Mike Kelly chasing down Timothy Stoll. Timothy Stoll, unfortunately, not... well, no, I guess they're both battling pretty hard for the championship right now. I mean, Mike Kelly with the advantage at the moment, but Timothy Stoll with definitely a good chance to make it more of a race there. That being said, Russell Cow is in the lead, and assuming that stays that way, we'll pull away a little bit in the championship.
riding on board now with Mike Young as Lauren Bateman almost went wide into the wasteland between turn 1 and 2, manages to save it though. As the battle between Mike Kelly and Timothy Stoll rages on, Kelly right under the rear wing of Stoll seems to definitely have the pace, and we'll see if he's able to get by once and drag his way past, coming out of turn 8 as they head back onto the oval portion of the circuit.
Really see Mike's car sneaking around there as they're coming around turn 6 and 7. Turn 6, very, very tight corner, but turn 7 is nicely kind of, I think, flat out, but you really get... Oh, no!
Oh, wow.
That was close.
Yeah, that was close. They almost made contact there. Mike Kelly was going to take his normal exit out of that corner, as he, obviously would, and I don't think it was expecting Stoll to get sideways there, luckily able to avoid contact, but that makes an easy pass for Mike Kelly, and that moves him up into 4th place, and that should be 2nd place for Kelly once Briles and Carey make their scheduled pit stops.
Yeah, that's one of the cardinal rules, is like, don't take out your teammate, and Stoll's little squirrely moment there almost took away.
Oh no!
That was short-lived.
It was, yes. The 56 car, I'm not sure who that is. Oh, that's James Cullen. He was a bit squirrely in the wasteland between turn 1 and 2. Didn't have nearly the incident that Mike Kelly had. And unfortunate for Mike Kelly, he has got by.
Definitely Heroes car.
Yeah, definitely looked like he had the pace to hold on to 2nd place. I don't know if anyone can challenge Russell Cow, but unfortunate for Mike Kelly.
Okay, back on board with Mike Young in 6th place. Okay, we get a chance here. We're just when we're a little past the halfway point, we're gonna give it another. I should probably run down the order as soon as Briles and Carey make their pit stops, but and Russell Cow for that matter too. But
yeah,
okay, chances things are probably still a little mixed up right now. I don't want to run down the order because they'll probably just change. Look at that, turn 2, someone's off.
Yeah, that stretch between turn 1 and 2, it seems to be catching. I haven't really seen a whole lot of Daytona prototypes, with the exception of Mike Kelly, who had a huge tank slapper and then spin going through that section. But it's been catching off mostly Cadillacs. I find that kind of interesting to see.
All right, I'm just going to try to cut away my commentary just a little bit more here because my coughing fits are becoming a little more frequent, so I'll cut in when I can, but I'll let Anthony describe what he's seeing for the most part here, and Dan jump in whenever possible.
And who is this? The 27 of John Kuzlin into the pits from 2nd place. He has a fairly sizable gap between himself and Todd Carver running in 3rd. And, oh, never mind, that timing and scoring hadn't updated yet, so Todd Carver will take 2nd place. Still not sure if he's pitted yet, actually, so that'll be interesting to see if he still has to make a pit stop. But John Kuzlin maintains 3rd place. No one else able to get by. Daniel Grauty is the next closest, who already has made his pit stop. He's moved up into 4th. I think we saw him down in 6th or 7th after his pit stop. So he's made up a few more positions because of other people making their stops. It's good to see him up in the top 5. We'll see. Still interested to see if Todd Carver has made his pit stop yet, because he's had some slight issues. I think he's had a couple offs or near offs of the circuit, so we'll see what happens between Carver. James Cullen has a almost 10-second gap between himself and Carver at the moment, so not really a battle there. And in the DPs, it's even worse or better, depending on how you look at it. Russell Cow currently 34 seconds in front of Brent Briles, who has yet to pit, along with Brian Carey. So those guys currently just staying out as long as possible. Can actually see Brian Carey right there on screen, getting by Jerry Morsdorf. That actually was putting a lap over Jerry. So not really for position, and he just gets out of the way. Let me look at Mike Young again. He's currently about 1.5 seconds back from Lauren Bateman. That's the battle for 5th. If you can call it a battle, not quite there close enough yet to be a true battle. Just looking through the timing and scoring, really not many other battles going on the circuit right now. This is the closest that we have. Both of these guys have made their pit stops, of course, so this is for true position. We're still waiting on Briles and Carey to make their pit stops. But other than that, everyone's pretty much settled into a rhythm, and they're just turning laps. There's about 24 minutes and 30 seconds left in the race, so still some chance or opportunity for drivers to make up positions as the race goes on. James Cullen pulling out an even larger gap over Todd Carver. I think he's put on about 2 seconds within the last lap or so. So waiting to see if Todd Carver has made his pit stop yet. I'm assuming he has, with only 24 minutes left in the race, but you never know.
Yeah, within a 70-minute race, I think he's still within his window, though. There's actually Russell Cow is now into the pits, so look for that to see the top 3 change around perhaps a little bit.
Oh, and Eduardo Benica off at the Wasteland again between turn 1 and 2. Luckily no damage, and he's going to be passed by the 41 of Ryan Huff. That is 4th position, and that elevates Huff up into 7th place. And Eduardo having a bit of a tough race. He had a so far in the GTC, and it's good to see him. But he's struggling a little bit here at his first Roval circuit. As we watch Brian Carey, can see the damage on his Daytona prototype. The car just behind, that's Jerry Morsdorf. It looks like he might have lost it going into turn 1. Another car that's I think that is John Kelly there in the number 6. Lost it in the Wasteland. And yeah, Morsdorf off again. He lost it actually going into turn 1, not the little straight between the 2 corners, 1 and 2. And he is slow to regain the, or slow to get back on the circuit. And he's going to lose quite a bit of time right now. He's not really battling with anyone. He's got about 5, close to 6 seconds between himself and Tim McLeish. And the next driver would be Daniel Coroni. I think has retired at this point. He's a few laps down from the leader, so that'll be interesting. I also just like to point out that Brent Briles has taken the lead. I'm not sure exactly where at, so he may or may not have gotten a bonus point for leading the lap. Hopefully he did. As we can ride on board now with Russell Cow, we saw that Brian Carey was pulling off into the pit lane, so he is finally making his stop. Russell Cow will pull up into the lead once again after his pit stop. Oh, and Brent Briles also in the pit lane. So just a moment, we'll do a full rundown of all the standings now that the 2 guys that were holding out probably the longest, Briles and Carey, were finally making their pit stops. Again, going back to Mike Young and his battle with Lauren Bateman for a top 5 spot in the class. This is definitely the closest battle that we have right now on the circuit. About a second separates these 2 drivers, and they've both made mistakes, particularly in this portion of the course between turns 1 and 2. So it'll be interesting to see if it's a mistake that allows Mike Young to get past, or if he has the race pace to catch back up and close that about 1 second gap between himself and Lauren Bateman. See him sawing at the wheel a little bit there, trying to find the optimum amount of grip from the tires that he's got. Had a bit of a little squirrely coming out of the corner. So head down into turn 8. Looks like he's pretty close. Let's see if he didn't quite get the exit that he wanted. He's dropped back a little bit from Lauren Bateman, so he won't have a as big of a benefit of draft. You can see Brian Carey now going to be passing as they head into NASCAR's turn 1 and 3. I'll run down the standings real quick. since it looks like everyone has cycled through after pit stops. In the Daytona Prototype class, Russell Cow is the leader, in front of Timothy Stoll by close to 16 seconds. Mike Kelly in third, who had quite a large spin, as we, if you remember, between turns 1 and 2. Lost quite a bit of time, but he's managed to close the gap between himself and Timothy Stoll to close to 3 seconds. Brent Riles in fourth place after his pit stop, back from Mike Kelly by 16 seconds. And then Brian Carey currently running in fifth, despite his damage, 6 seconds back from Brent Riles. Tim McLeish still running a lap down from the leaders into sixth, with Jerry Morsdorf also, actually rather 2 laps down. Actually, both of those drivers now 2 laps down after our timing updated. Apologies. Those guys are in 6th and 7th, respectively. And then we have a number of retired Daytona prototypes after that. In the fairly large mistake there from Lauren Bateman, but not enough to allow Mike Young to get past. He's actually dropped to about a second despite that mistake there from Bateman. So let's go over the Cadillac class. James Clem, currently the leader right now. He's 14 seconds in front of Todd Carver. That gap has grown probably about 5 seconds since the last time that I've looked at it, and that was probably about 5 minutes ago. John Kuzlin currently in third place. I'm not sure if Todd Carver, once again, I'm not 100% sure if he's made his pit stop, so that's possible that could change. We'll see. John Kuzlin currently about 4.5 seconds between himself and Todd Carver. Daniel Gralty running in fourth place. He's having a strong race, and he is about 1.5 seconds back off of John Kuzlin. Lauren Bateman and Mike Young, those guys that we see on screen right now, battling for 5th and 6th. Ryan Huff is in 7th, 10 seconds back of Mike Young, with Eduardo Benica and Kenny Coughlin. Both those guys are still running. John Kelly also still running in the top 10, but he's quite a ways back, over a minute off of the leader. And then we've also got Gary Miller, who is a lap back, but still running. And then we get to a few retirements. Oh, and that is Timothy Stahl getting almost losing his car through turn 3. You can see Mike Kelly has closed the gap once again to his teammate. And hopefully, if he's able to get by, he won't have another mistake like he did the last time.
Well, he should be ready for it this time, because there's been a couple times that Tim's got a little squirrely right in front of him and been running his tail.
Kelly definitely seems to have the pace. I think he just needs the opportunity. You can see he's really attacking Stoll, even showing his nose here going into turn 8. Oh, and looks like
I saw Tim flashed his brakes there. It looked like he was going to let him by.
Yeah, I think he had the same realization that we had. Looks like that he thought that Kelly definitely had the pace over him, and he let his teammate go by.
I think I've got my voice back for a few seconds here, but it looks like Tim figures he's got the pace. I mean, they are battling for a championship between themselves, so they know they're not going to catch Russell this race unless he makes a mistake. It just looked like Mike was running a little bit cleaner, and in the interest of self-preservation, Timothy figured that let Mike go ahead, and if Lauren gets a little squirrely coming off turn 8 there, loses a position to Mike Young. So that's an interesting battle right there, but just playing it safe, knowing that Mike seems to be less prone to making mistakes this race, even though he's had a few offs already. So we'll see how that if Tim's able to hold the gap.
Yeah, that's actually pretty interesting, because the gap was pretty stable between those two guys. I thought that it might come down to a mistake that allowed Mike Young to get by. Let's see if Lauren Bateman has any pace over Mike Young. We're getting down to 16 minutes left in the race, so not a whole lot of time left. And it'll be interesting to see how this battle here plays out. As we pointed out, not a whole lot of other battles going on right now, although a developing battle we could see pretty soon between Todd Carver and John Kuzlin. At this point in the race, I'm assuming that Carver has made his pit stop, and I didn't see it, because we're down to under 16 minutes now. That's really pushing it in the Cadillac, I think.
Yeah, this shot a little earlier. Did I just notice some checkered flag print garbage cans in the pit lane?
I don't know. I missed it if that was there.
we'll just check as we go by the next straightaway there. I think that's what those were. But John Kuzlin's down to about half a second behind Todd Carver, so I think that battle might settle itself out. Actually, Dan Gralte's less than 2 seconds behind them, so...
Yep, the gap between Mike Kelly and Timothy Stoll right now about 6 or 7 tenths of a second back, depending where they are on the second, although now it's dropped to about a second. So, Kelly definitely seems to be a little bit faster, although he hasn't pulled the gap quite like I thought he would. We'll go now to the battle for second place. We're on board now with John Kuzlin. He's battling Todd Carver, and this is for second place once again. And this is probably John Kuzlin's best performance that we've seen so far this season that I can think of.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where it's really neat to see, like, over a course of a few races where you see that, not that it's been that big a gap, but a lot of times you'll see Todd Carver have the pace over John Kuzlin. But, I mean, just a different track, different circumstance, different setup, and John's all over the back of Todd right now, so... Just really good to see good racing from race to race between all the drivers here in ISRA. It's very, very competitive, both the Daytona Prototype and the Cadillac, showing some good stuff for us here.
Indeed, and it's still pretty close between Mike Young and Lauren Bateman. The gap has pretty much been staying right around half a second or so. And Lauren Bateman definitely doesn't seem to be like he's a huge amount faster than Mike Young and was just maintaining the gap earlier. I think these guys are fairly evenly paced. As we jump over to the onboard camera of Timothy Stoll's car, who's behind his teammate. I don't expect him to be attempting a pass right now, but he's running about a half a second behind his teammate Mike Kelly at the moment. We'll go back to a battle that I actually think the guys will pass. Oh, and Mike Young, who gets it sideways coming out of the corner, and he'll lose the position because of that, but luckily able to save it. And that could have been a lot worse, to be honest. It could have been much worse. He could have lost a lot more time. Unfortunately, he lost the position, but the gap is still about half a second between the two drivers, so he's just going to have to try and find his way around again.
Yeah, no drifting points here in the GTC. You want to keep that thing nice and under control.
Ooh, and Timothy Stoll really gaining a lot of time there on his teammate under braking. That had nothing to do with the cars in front. That was just like Mike Kelly a little bit more ginger on the brakes. Although he gets a decent exit as they go past Eduardo Benica, currently running in 8th place. Oh, and this is Lauren Bateman, who has a bit of a off there going between turns 1 and 2, and that allows Mike Young to challenge, but he's gonna have the outside. It's going through a turn 4, and that's gonna give allow Lauren Bateman to defend his position. So some pretty good close racing here. A lot of it as a result of small little mistakes that both drivers are making, but fun to watch nonetheless.
Timothy Stoll closed right up on his teammate there, so Mike Kelly not able to pull away. The fact that Timothy Stoll let him by, I don't know, Team Motors, it doesn't look like Timothy's holding anything back here. It looks like he's going to go for it.
Yeah, I think he thought Mike Kelly might have been a lot faster than he actually is showing right now, and so he let his teammate by. But it looks like these guys are pretty evenly paced, and so I think, like you said, there aren't really any team orders, and they're just going to fight it out. Hopefully they won't have an incident and take each other out. That would be that'd be quite bad for both drivers, since they're still, both of them still very much in the hunt for the championship. It'll be interesting to see. We've got Stoll. Seems like he had a bit of the benefit of the draft, and then it kind of slowed off. I'm not sure if he let off the throttle just to get rid of some of that run that he was having on his teammate or what, but it'll be interesting to see what happens. And we've got Eduardo Benica has actually closed the gap between himself and Ryan Huff. That's about half a second, or you can see he's pretty much on the tail of Huff right now as they head into turn 4. This is a battle for 7th place. So with 10 minutes left, or just over 10 minutes left in the race, a few battles are starting to develop, but looks like pretty much the two leaders have been decided as long as they don't make a fairly serious mistake.
Yeah, it's like the besides the battle between Tim Stahl and Mike Kelly in Daytona Prototype, this is jumping around between the various battles here in Cadillac, and they're all pretty entertaining. This is a battle for 7th position, just as interesting as the battle for 2nd position, as well as no, it might be up for now. Oh yeah, battle for 5th as well, between Lauren Bateman and Mike Young.
It actually looks like it's going to be a 3-way battle for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. We've got Todd Carver in 2nd with John Kuzlin about a half second behind him, and then Daniel Gralti another half second behind Kuzlin. So that could be a good 3-way battle to watch there in the Cadillacs with only about 9 minutes left in the race. Hopefully we get to see a bit of that action. Actually, we go on board now with John Kuzlin. You can see Todd Carver just in front, and then using the rear view camera on his dashboard, you can see the number 11 car of Daniel Gralti. So this is that battle for 2nd in the Cadillac class. All of these drivers are very, very close, and this should be a fun battle to watch. You can see John Kuzlin looking to fight his way on the inside of Todd Carver, heading through the NASCAR Turn 4. Looks like he was gaining quite a bit, and then almost kind of clipped the apron a little bit there, lost a bit of momentum. It's going to be not going to be able to do it there in Turn 1 as we jump backwards to Daniel Gralti's onboard camera. This is actually the probably the one to watch, so we can see what all 3 cars are doing. All these guys nose to tail with just 8 minutes and 30 seconds left on this in the race.
Yeah, it's really good for our viewers out there to see something like this, because you really get a good sense of the, like I said, I mentioned before, the battles that happen all the way through the ISRA GTC series. One of the probably the best time to point out that if you're interested in this type of racing and you're not a member already of ISRA, to visit israleague.com for more information on all the various series that we offer. So good chance there. And again, mention our sponsor, z1simwheel.com. So visit both sites. Check it out, be a part of this, because it is pretty exciting, and by the time this goes to air, if you will, we should be deciding on Season 9 of the ISRA GTC series, so stay tuned and look out for it.
Yeah, just want to point out, this is actually a really good time to go ahead and think about joining up if you are kind of on the fence of deciding whether or not to get in on some of this great racing, as we see a Daytona Prototype going on the inside there of John Kuzlin. But we're in a bit of a state of limbo right now, as we're kind of waiting to see if the McLaren MP4 12C GT3 car will be released soon. And if it is, that will most likely be part of our Season 9 lineup. But right now we're just basically doing some fun races, testing out different combinations of cars, looking to see what to run and what runs well together for the future of the series. So definitely check it out. And if this type of racing is something that you want to be part of, definitely check out the website, israleague.com. We go on board with, we were on board briefly with Alberto Benica. He's still battling with Ryan Huff. Huff able to maintain that 8th position and defending, or 7th position rather, defending very, very well. And just 6 minutes and 30 seconds left in the race, so not a whole lot of time, but I'm sure that that 6 minutes can't go by soon enough, as Benica is right on the rear bumper of Ryan Huff, and he's definitely looking to get by.
And yes, those are checkered garbage cans in the pits.
Yeah,
and Todd Carver getting held up behind the number 42, I believe.
He's down to 4th now.
Yeah, he loses 2 positions. That's how close those guys were battling. He gets a little bit too close to Jerry Morrisdorf there in the Daytona Prototype. Avoids making contact. He almost runs into the back of him, but in doing so, he goes wide off into the grass in between turns 1 and 2, and loses 2 spots because of it. So not a lot of time left for him to make up that position. That's too bad. He was really doing a good job of holding both of those drivers off. But John Kuzlin back up into 2nd place. He was up there earlier. We go on board with Daniel Gralti, who was up into 3rd place. This was a great race for Daniel Gralti. I think this is probably one of the highest races that he's been scored so far. So a great race on his part. Todd Carver going to try and fight his way back. He's still within that group They're currently separated by about 1.5 seconds at the moment, so it's not over yet between those three drivers. As we see type cover right now, there's the three, so they're still quite close. So he didn't lose a whole lot of time. Oh, but he goes wide going out of turn one, and that's going to cost him even more times. He's most likely going to be out of that battle unless one of those drivers in front of him, that being John Kuzan or Daniel Gralti, make a mistake. But he drops about 2 seconds back from Daniel Gralti. Unfortunately, that's probably going to put him out of the hunt for third or second place, but it's still close between Kuzan and Gralti.
So Timothy Stoll getting a little squirrely there, coming out of whatever corner that was. Dan Gralti is just going to be all over the back of Kuzan here, doing everything he can, trying to force him into a mistake, but if he can play it right, he might be able to make a clean on-track pass. My commentary right now is very detailed and nuanced, but I'm trying to get in between massive coffee fits, so...
Yeah, it's quite close between Kuzan and Gralti right now. Ty Carver, unfortunately, off of the not getting the benefit of the draft. 2 seconds behind Todd Carver, or Daniel Gralti at the moment. And you can see it's very close between these two drivers, and there's going to be Brent Briles coming up. Hopefully he doesn't interrupt this battle too much, as it's quite close, and this is another Daniel Gralti fighting for another step up the podium.
As you can see, Brent Briles in the car behind there trying to get through quickly as possible, not to lose as much time to Brian Carey, but very interesting sponsor, Ragu. As you know, when you think of racing, you think of spaghetti sauce, so... I know I do, or at least I do now.
And I don't really think that pass impacted Daniel Gralti all that much, but he has dropped back from John Kuzan by about close to a second now. And hopefully he's able to make that back up within the last couple laps. They're not going to have all that much time left. It's so close between Timothy Stoll and his teammate Mike Kelly, about half a second to a second, depending on where they are on the circuit. So it'll be interesting to see if Timothy Stoll tries to get past his teammate. He was looking like he was definitely going to go for a pass earlier, and might have dropped back just a little bit and riding out the rest of the race, but that'll be interesting to see what happens. Ryan Huff, meanwhile, still in front of Eduardo Benica. This is the battle for 7th place in their class, and not a whole lot of time left. If he's going to do it, Eduardo needs to make a move pretty soon.
Yeah, it looks like Russell Cow and James Cullen, their gaps are pretty secure, but like I say, anything can happen at this point. But here we go, right in the battle. This is the battle for 2nd place in the Cadillacs, that's what they are. I'm trying to say Ford GT for some reason, I don't know. It's getting a little late, and it's about 2.5 laps left for these guys, so...
Jerry Morsdorf, we right on board right now. He's going to try and make up a last-minute position on Tim McLeish. This is for position, but they are a couple laps down off of the rest of the field. Someone had made it off there at turn 1. I couldn't see who it was. It looks like they were able to recover. Jump back to the battle in Cadillacs between Huff and Benica. They're still pretty much... Oh, and Huff makes a mistake in turn 8. And Benica's going to have a great run coming out and through the turn 9 kink. And it's going to be... He's definitely going to have the advantage. Let's see if Huff can't battle back on the inside. And it's going to be close if he can maintain the inside line. Looks like he's going to get alongside, which is good. He needed to do that as they're going to come around on their final lap, and he's actually able to repass on the inside there going through turn 4. He needs to maintain. No, he needs to stay down on the inside to try and block that turn 1, the inside lane going into turn 1 to see if he can do it. Manages to do it. Don't make a mistake going into turn 2. Oh, and he goes wide coming out of turn 2, and he's going to lose a position, I'm sure. Yep, and timing scoring confirms that he loses a position. So unfortunate on their last lap. He managed to hold him off for the entire time that he was right behind him. That loses it on his last lap. That was too unfortunate for Ryan Huff. Meanwhile, it looks like Jerry Morsdorf able to get by Tim McLeish heading into turn 1 and now through turn 2. So he'll pick up another spot going into 6th place, rather. And this is Daniel Gralty. Looks like he's pulling into the pit lane. So he must have shorted himself on fuel. Looks like Todd Carver also behind. And he's pulling into the pit lane, so he shorted himself on fuel. And he not sure why he managed to do that. Not really going to do a whole lot.
Well, it's a position.
Oh, yeah, I guess it is. So I'm guessing that Daniel Gralty, it was completely out of fuel right there, as Russell Kyle will come across to win the race here at Homestead by a fairly hefty margin, by about 24 seconds or so. So that was some crazy drama there at the end. John Kuzlin going to hold off their other competitors there. He'll take the second place.
And that elevates Lauren Bateman into 3rd place. So Coast to Coast Racing going 2-3 in the Cadillacs. I assume James Cullen's going to come across in the lead for the victory. We haven't seen him cross the line just yet, but it's just a matter of time at this point. Mike Kelly holds off Tim Stoll for 3rd place, or for 2nd place in the Daytona Prototypes. And yes, James Cullen has crossed the line in 1st place for the Cadillacs there.
And a few more Daytona Prototypes finishing. Brian Carey finishes in 5th place, eager to get out of his car. Brent Browse will be finishing in 4th place, with Jerry Morsdorf and Tim McLeish in 6th and 7th. They are the last of the running cars, and we'll go to the points now.
Yes, sir. Russell Cow still, actually, I think Mike Kelly started in here leading, if I recall, but Russell Cow taking the lead here with Mike Kelly 2 points behind. Timothy Stoll falling back a bit, but still safely in 3rd. Brent Biles and John Rosettos tied for 4th, and now we're going to jump over into the Cadillacs where James Cullen leads over Todd Carver. Colin McLean is starting to fall back a bit there in the points, and then 20-point steps down there for Lauren Bateman and Eduardo Prado for 4th and 5th, and then a battle for 6th through 10th. As the cars return to the pits after their outlap. Well, I'm glad that ultimately there were some good battles there. It did slow down a bit in the middle, but then plenty of action throughout the rest of the race.
I think of a lot of the action that we saw were people going off after turn 2.
Yeah, we should have taken account. Actually, that's the drinking game for this race. Every time someone goes off in turn 2, take a drink.
Yeah, just rewind and do it.
With just 2 more races in the season here left, the next one at Zolder, and then following that, the season closer at Laguna Seca. Then we will look forward to hopefully a season 9 happening. Still waiting to see if we're going to get that McLaren.
Absolutely. I'm really looking forward if we're able to get that car there here. It's a fantastic car to drive, good speed, better handling than the Ford GT, but about the same speed, and should add a new dynamic to our series.
Alright, well, thank you as always to the racers here at ISRA League, to the admins who make it all possible, put this series together here, and to Brian Carey and Anthony Muniz for announcing with me here, doing the heavy lifting there, and we will see you all next time at Zolder. Have a good night.